Hello, you're listening to Otaku Spirit Podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo.
Today's episode is a discussion about the great anime bubble. Are we seeing an anime bubble? We were actually doing a discussional podcast episode, but then it just turned into nothing but discussing that. So I decided to make the entire video, or we as a group has decided to make an entire video, an entire podcast talking about the anime bubble. Because I think it's a very important thing that I think a lot of people are discussing and always kind of thinking about with so much anime coming out every season, upwards of 60 to 70 shows every season. At which point is it going to break? And I think ultimately, after just tangent after tangent, we came to a pretty positive conclusion. I hope that people enjoy the discussion. Again, as per usual, at otakuspirit.com. I hope you guys go there and to support the channel in the different ways that we have available there. And so, on with the show. I'm almost feeling like Makane might beat Aya for anime of the season. It's getting close. The two of them are just... Now, next week's Aya is probably going to take the cake again, because what I'm seeing from the previews, it looks like it's going to be super spicy. But just like character writing in general, I think Makane is just stealing it. Absolutely stealing it. And then you have Monogatari's series, and you have Oshina Ko. And it's like, I seen somebody post the other day that this season was weak, and I'm like, huh?
Which season are you watching again?
I guess if you're a shonen bro, like if all you care about is boom booms and that kind of stuff, then yeah, you're not eating very good. I mean, like high action series, there's not really anything this season. I mean, you have Tower of God, but sure, sure, okay. Like this is a season of drama and rom-com, I think, like character-driven rom-coms and dramas. Because again, Oshina Ko and even Monogatari series is in that vein, and it's getting super like heavy right now with getting into Shinobu's backstory stuff. So it's like it's easy for me to throw together a 10 list and be super happy with it. Like even like some other side stuff that I'm not like super invested in, I'm still really enjoying. So again, I have to throw Yatagarasu in there because I'm caught up on that one. That one's doing super good. So it was one of those ones that also like in the wake of seeing this viral tweet going around that was basically saying like, is anime dying? And it has this little video of, you know, here's 2024 and it's got Alia running down the hallway and then it cuts over to, you know, Makane or something like that. And it's just mostly rom-com stuff on the screen. And then Oshina Ko, it shows Oshina Ko, and then it cuts over to 2023 and it's got Jujutsu boom, you know, cool faces and stuff. And it's like, oh, I get what you're saying. Anime is dying because you don't have Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like one of those ones where it's like it just pushes me to want to make a video talking about I was trying to figure out what I want to do with a title for it, but it's like, do I want to go with like something super catchy like anime isn't for you, or do I just want to go for like the general sense, which is not all anime is for you? And that we talk about that every season because it's usually triggered by the fact that you'll have these big anime YouTubers that they go through, they do their live and everybody joins on. They want to see what shows they're excited for the next season. They look at Annie chart and they go through the list and they go, another isekai, another isekai, all these isekais. I'm just so tired. And then they go through the synopsis and they're like, my gosh, heard that one before. I mean, we joke about that every now and then, but we're never really serious about it. But it goes in that whole vein that I get in my head every single season. The problem that I think the Western anime fan has is that they view that Annie chart list as this is supposed to be made for me. I'm an anime fan. I'm an anime fan. So obviously what's on Annie chart should be a bunch of shows for me, right? It should be for me. It's tailored for me. And I think we, as like you and me, more me because you've been kind of curbing a lot of your stuff for your time, but we've been always kind of in the mindset of like everything gets a chance. And yeah, there's certain things that aren't going to work for me, and I'm going to push away from like things like, you know, yaoi or something that's going to be like more sports based, you know, focusing on the sport, not so much the characters, which they typically try to do characters, but most part, I mean, everything's going to be something I'm going to be invested in. So me personally, I can't get in that mindset of not trying everything and not giving everything a shot.
Yeah, I mean, if I had unlimited time, I by far I would give everything a shot. I've never I mean,
It's rare when you turn on a show and you're like, I wasted my time.
yeah, I don't
There's
feel
always gonna be
like
something
that.
there.
Exactly. It feels like, I mean, I just have fun watching the show for what it is. It's a show. I mean, even Pseudo Harem, I mean, I'm glad I stuck with it. I didn't care for the artwork, but there was something there that I did kind of enjoy. And as the show progressed, I ended up liking it more and more. I really do love the interplay between the two characters. But at the same time, it's if I was to sit there and go into it with this mindset of, oh, it looks like garbage, shut it off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might as well be, you'd end up missing out on a really fun show. It's cutesy, and I don't understand the mentality of saying that you love anime and then literally bash on every single show you watch. It's like, okay, yeah, they all do a lot of same things. Okay. I mean, we talked about the brown couch. I mean, it's been a while since we mentioned the couch, but it is a couch thing. I mean, you go into the furniture store. They're all couches, no matter how you look at it. Each one of them has a different lining. Why not give them a try? One you might like, but at the end of the day, they're all couches.
Well, I mean, that goes back to our whole discussion about the idea that going into anime expecting that everything's going to blow you away. Everything's going to have Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer budget. Everything's going to have a Satoshi Kon mind blown moment. Everything's going to have where's the crazy stuff from the 90s and the 80s, the golden age of anime. Every single one of them has to be a legend. Well, again, like we said back then, newsflash. Most anime is not going for that.
Yeah.
99.99% of them are not going for blowing your mind. They're going for escapism. They're going for chill, relax, and watch and turn your brain off. They're going for, I just worked a 12-hour shift in my dead-end job, and I finally get a moment to go home or to my capsule hotel to relax, and I just want to see the cute girl turn into a tsundere for her senpai. That's all it is.
Well, in a lot of cases, most of these.
But again, I do understand the idea of you wanting payback for your investment. You want to be able to get enjoyment out of it. So yeah, I can't say that I'm going to turn on. I'm going to force myself to watch the rest of Nokotan, despite the fact that the jokes aren't hitting anymore. Like it hit for the first episode and it's never hit since then. So I'm probably not going to finish it. Pseudo Harem, I'm not going to sing praises for it because yes, it's the same concept over and over again. Just every now and then they go out for, in the town and they do the same thing. It's not that special. I mean, they have a couple little points where it seems like their life is shifting. Cool, but then back to the same shtick. It's fine.
Yeah.
But if you have limited time, you're going to be more picky about that.
It's what's goofy to me is, in a lot of cases, why, and maybe people just don't realize this. I mean, half the time, a lot of these light novels or spinoffs of web novels or whatever that these people are just jotting ideas down on this big old forum that they just throw out these stories and some of these stories catch fire. That's all it is. It's not like it's anything breaking any grounds. They're just writing a story, and I think that's kind of what we had gotten into the discussion about at one point. Of in a lot of cases, these are just people telling stories. It's not like they're trying to bend the entire world.
Yeah.
Who says that they have to?
Not making a statement. Not trying to make the next Evangelion. And I think that's a good thing to point out is that, I mean, Mushoku Tensei was that case. He just was like, hey, got a little bit of a push from this Remonster guy to put my stuff out there. He put it out there. And it kind of includes the idea that when at some point it felt like, because his readers were kind of saying, I like you doing this, you should do this more, he's kind of pivoted. He wanted to kind of ground it into the idea of, marrying Sylphie and getting into the relationships like that. Whereas, yeah, he may have went the route of just doing a typical power isekai with, Sugoi and big booms that a lot of other stuff is doing. He kind of went that direction because he felt like, okay, I can kind of do this. People are enjoying it. Let me do what I kind of thought would be cool here, and let's go further into this, which is kind of the way he words that. It's kind of scary to think about, like how so good he is at kind of making sure that everything is interweaved the way it is, when it's like, okay, you're not saying that you made it up on the spot, did you? Because it sounds like you are, but you can't be, because that's way too clever. I mean, he kind of indicated that he had like a concept of the world and everything already kind of pre-built before he got into it, and then he kind of built Rudius into it. So it I guess a lot of that interweaving is technically the world concepts that he's so dang good at kind of coming back to on a regular basis.
Well, and like I said, it being, I mean, it's like as if people were to take and make major blockbuster movies out of fan fiction. It's like, would you really expect the fan fiction to be one of the greatest shows ever? I mean,
for Western properties, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
For a lot of Western property, I think a lot of people would probably say, yeah.
I mean, that to me is kind of where I think that it's. I mean, maybe not major blockbusters. I mean, you'd be like B films, I guess. You're taking something that people are just kind of throwing out there, and it catches fire, becomes popular. They publish it and turn it into a moneymaker. And it just so happens to be made into an anime. That to me is about the same as what we're doing. If you were to kind of put it as an equivalent over here, it's just people who kind of writing stories and then turning it into cartoon. It's you're not expecting something groundbreaking off of that. There is very select. We already know who those directors are that's going to actually make the quote unquote masterpieces. I mean, Ikumi, what I think is one of them. The guy who
they have like the budget for it too.
Yeah, he has special budgets for that. The guy who does Evangelion, he gets special budgets for what he decides he wants to do.
If they let Ano have another project, they'll give him a budget for it. They're like, Ano, are you really gonna do it again? Yeah, I'm gonna try to make the ending again. Oh, the people are gonna like it this time. Like Ano's like, I'm done. Please don't ever ask me to do another Evangelion. Hey, we need some more money. Okay, let's try to rebuild it. The rebuild. We're gonna rebuild it. But no, I mean, to your point, I think that's been kind of the nice thing. We're gonna end up turning this into like just a topic podcast. That was kind of the interesting thing that kind of popped in my mind just last night. Actually, I was watching Psychoultress. By the way, really fantastic guy. I've just been chatting up with him way too much lately. I did a guest appearance on his stream, and I talked way too much about Mushoku Tensei, mostly skip content. But he was talking to somebody, and they were broaching the topic about like manga and whatnot, and why it seems like manga is so much more popular than Western comics and stuff like that. And I kind of threw out there, like, general idea, I think it's mainly because of how it's a very cheap escapism. Like, yeah. A manga over there, like a book of manga over there is like, it's like $3. And it's really cheap, by the way. Their paper's super thin, like, not compared to ours. So I don't go, oh my gosh, I pay like $12 for mine. It's because our mangas are much more better put together. Over there, it's like
that. To be fair, what I was getting ready to say is there's also the collector factor, where we tend to
we have major apparent. Yeah. I mean, I have like one of the earlier Viz mangas of like Ranma, and it's like, yeah, even those are like super thin too. So we've done it over here, but I think it's kind of molded into, yes, collectability and stuff you're going to have on your shelf for a long time. And there's also the expectation over here is like a novel or whatever. They're trying to match that, whereas it's not like matching a comic book or whatever. But anyways, and yes, technically what do they call them, tokobans, which is their version of like a volume, is where they take the chapters and they put it into one thing. Again, it's very much more thinner, whereas ours are much thicker. But anyways, what I was making there is like, yeah, technically my thought process there is that it's a cheap escapism. And I think the cool thing that comes out of how much is churned through over there, and now, yes, with the inclusion of, web novels and web mangas and whatnot in Japan is you just have and a sheer lack of really restrictions is that it feels like creativity is just booming over there. There is it's been going on for a long time, obviously, ever since, the 90s and even earlier than that. Ever since the advent of manga in general, it feels like in general in Japan, there is a boom of creativity and there's so much of it. And there's a scary aspect of that is that there's too much. Like there's just way too many. Like I could easily make like endless content if I just went and started diving into nothing but manga. Especially stuff that's not even translated because there's just too much of it. Like every day there's another manga or light novel that pops up on my Twitter feed that people are laughing at the title or the concept behind it. Like, shoot, there's I think it's getting localized. There's one that is I was kicked out of the hero's party, and so I decided to I made a party of the heroes' moms or something like that, which is like I think apparently the heroes' party, they all sold their mothers to the forced servitude, and so the guy gets kicked out of the heroes' party and he buys all the moms and he makes a party out of it. So
That's
it's like,
awesome.
It's like he literally NTRs all the heroes' dads, but it's like they're crazy. Like these ideas are crazy, and yes, it's always like the title is the story is a one-liner, a paragraph title, but there's so many weird concepts that they just kind of they throw at this wall, and there's no restriction. And what comes from that is that yes, a lot of it just gets lost in the nether. There's so many of them; they just get lost in this nether. But because it's so easily and readily available, pretty much all these web novel sites and stuff like that, they're just putting them up there, and anybody can check them out. It's just whenever it gets really popular, that's one point in which they'll publish it. Mm-hmm. Again, just like Mushoku Tensei, it was a web novel. It got that attention. Then eventually, it got published as a light novel. Didn't really do great. Then the anime adaptation happened, and then boom, records, millions sold. Refugian's doing good. Refugian's happy. Good deal. So it's like a lot of them will get lost in that nether, but every now and then something gets picked up, or people just gravitate towards it because it's good. And the desire for good storytelling will eventually bring it to the front, and then it'll get published, and then it gets that popularity. And even still, even if you're not checking out these sites, which it seems like a lot of them are, just they're on their trip to their work or whatever, and they're just flipping through these web novel sites, and they're finding stories. Oh, they got a new chapter out, checking it out. It's maybe it's a few paragraphs. Cool, got my update on it. Cool, what's the next one? And then you have, yes, a lot of cases where they're walking by these manga shops and they go in there and there's these walls and walls of manga. $3. They read it for the rest of the day and they throw it out or whatever because it's so cheap. There's like that constant hit of information, constant hit of entertainment. And sometimes it's not going to be great. Sometimes it could be that first volume syndrome that we always talk about. This idea of like when you watch an anime and the first few episodes are really good and then it's like, wow, you had no idea what we were going to do with this after this. Where you're like, again, Nokotan. It's a great introduction. She's hanging on the power lines. They go to the school. She busts through the doorway. The breeze hitting people in the faces, and which again was anime only. And then you have this whole thing where she's trying to keep her to shut up, and then she makes the clubhouse, and then it's just okay. Now she's got a yandere sister that wants to compete for her attention, and okay, this other one wants to be trained on how to be a deer. Okay, that was good. First volume was good. Beyond that, don't really care. And I think that really does come with it, is that it's so easy to get in there. And yes, I think a lot of people will be gravitated towards it because of that first punch. And then beyond then, what? Again, there's a give and take. Sometimes it can lead to something really successful and they have legs with it. And there's other times where, okay, you weren't really planning this out. And I think either way, it's fine. Because again, it goes that statement of, if you don't only watch but one episode of every show or whatever, like again, going back to the topic of not everything's for you, if you watch the first couple episodes and it works for you, then great. If it doesn't, then you tried a new experience. Why be upset especially be upset that other people are enjoying it? Again, I don't understand people's desire that everything has to fit them.
Yeah, that I really don't understand. I've never understood the idea of well, I don't like it, so nobody else can enjoy it. That has never made sense to me. To me, it's if you enjoy something, by all means, enjoy it, have fun. I mean, half of that was my inclination when we started the forums or the Discord. It was just enjoy it, have fun. You don't have to bash everybody else for enjoying something that you don't understand. I mean, if anything, ask why they like it, and just accept it. I mean, you may not get pulled over to their side. Half the time, somebody enjoying something is an enjoyable thing. I don't understand the immediate want to or desire to destroy. I don't want to be the party pooper. Does that make sense?
The negative Nancy.
The negative Nancy.
The fuddy-duddy. Well, I mean, that's like that whole joke comic where it has the people huddled up and they're talking about something. This guy's over here going, this sucks. And it cuts to the next one. The guy's like, good. And they go back to talking. It's like we're enjoying our thing. And this guy's just going, it's bad because of this. Or it's not a shonen. It's not Jujutsu. It's not Demon Slayer. It's mid. No, I'm not too bothered by somebody just kind of popping in the Discord or something like that to say, like I said earlier, just pop in there and saying it's a weak season or whatever. It's like, there is an element of it almost like saying, okay, so you saying that it's weak is like you saying that I like weak stuff, and you're wrong, because I think this season is full of a lot of incredible stuff. Stuff that is going to be anime of the year contenders. Again, Oshinoko, Monogatari series, Aya Sometimes Hides Her Feelings, Makine, Yatagarasu, the list goes on. That's an incredible season. And yes, next season probably gonna be more in line with those kind of people. It's gonna be crazy too. Natsume's Book of Friends coming back, ReZero is coming back, and so much other stuff is gonna be freaking crazy. But what was I getting with that? I think the only time it really kind of bugs me is whenever you have people that are specifically saying you. What's the term? What was the way they put it? Not pointing anybody specifically out. You have to be a kid to enjoy this, or I can't enjoy this because I guess I've grown out of it, and I think you can't really enjoy this unless you're like, I don't know, like a 12-year-old or something like that. That stuff bugs the fire out of me, because then it takes the fandom that's around a property and labels them. If you enjoy this, you're this kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, that we get that with like obviously things like, Onimai or something like that. If you enjoy this, then you need to be on the list. Jokes. It's like, no, maybe I just don't really find the appeal like you're trying to paint there. I think it's extremely a wholesome show, and I really enjoy it. It's got, yes, a little bit of perviness in it. It's got the jokes in there, but it is a super freaking good show. Literally a perfect adaptation. I wouldn't say it's not a perfect adaptation. Correction. It's an adaptation that transcends the original source material, because the original source material was very more skit based, and the anime adaptation made it into an anime. They made an anime out of it. They moved things around and made a story that was super good. I posted a clip of Onimai the other day, and I'm like, gosh dang it, now I want another season again. I'm thinking about Onimai again. I finally got myself to stop thinking about Onimai, and now it's back in my head again. It sucks. We had one of our questions in our thing was talking about that. It's like, yeah, I just need more. I need more Onimai. That's all I want. But it's fine. Again, I think even if people don't find something to enjoy every season, it's fine. And I think there is an element of, take that. I don't want to say take that as a good opportunity just to try to get away from it, because I think that's usually where we get the drop off. And that's the sucky part. There is a side of me that wishes that every season has something for everybody. I think with how many we're getting every season, there's got to be something that you can enjoy. So it is
anime dying. 60 shows per season would tell you otherwise.
I think when I was counting it, fall already has 59.
I mean,
and we have another month, a little over a month. I think next season's gonna be another 66er, at least. You ready?
About that anime bubble.
I was talking to early on Discord, or maybe it was Adrian, one of the two of them. I was talking about that the other day joking about that number. And I was like, yeah, I joked about the bubble. And I'm like, there at some point I have to admit that I have to stop saying that. I'm almost to the point now where I believe that we are not seeing an anime bubble, but just the new norm. Because it can be the new norm. Just like the video game bubble was a different thing, because that was really kind of them pushing too much stuff out without much kind of restriction, and thus it just got overburdened. And I think the last bubble that we really had with anime was that there was so much money being pumped into budget and putting so much money into it and turning out so much stuff that there wasn't anything coming back for it. And I think right now they are they're, for good or bad, let's be honest, it seems like they're limiting themselves on how much budget they're throwing into stuff, which, yes, sucks because we're getting a lot of shows that don't have really great animation, but it's also keeping it self-sustained that way. So you can hate the fact that your favorite anime doesn't get a Jujutsu Kaisen budget or a Demon Slayer budget, but at the same time, it's stable. Now, granted, again, just like what that guy from Gainax was talking about, they're not putting enough money into these that a show should be budgeted for. Like they're throwing together anime for like $4 million or something like that, and it's not enough to produce an anime. But it seems like the studios are pulling it off. Yes, they're probably doing it through really extremely cheap labor, but again, this is me playing devil's advocate here. That also means that they're stable. And yeah, I would wish that the animators get paid more, but that would lead to the bubble. Not to say that paying the animators more is going to lead to a bubble, is the cause and effect for a bubble. It's more of an aspect of they would have to really dial it down, how many shows are being made, increase the budget, maybe the quality. I think that would be like the perfect spot, but I don't think we're ever going to have that. Something's got to force them to have to pay them more, and then they're going to see that at that point you would see a bubble or a shift down. But where it is at right now, I think is not a bubble anymore. I think it's the new norm. And I think that a lot of it has to do with how many companies are investing in anime right now, because it's profitable. There's money in it.
Well, all the bubble is per se is a bunch of money going investing or pumping into it. Everything inflates out and then it pops.
Bottoms out basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's it's. I'm curious about the idea of if it is the new norm. It's not impossible. I mean, it very quite possible that it could be the new norm. As investors see a moneymaker, they're going to start dumping money into it. If it equalizes out well, then so be it. Yeah, you're right. This is the new norm.
I think the other good thing about that, or the other positive aspect to that discussion that I had, was that acknowledging the fact that a lot of companies lately have been kind of laying off like crazy, and we really haven't seen any really big issues happening out of anime. And I think that was really because it did a very healthy climb. Like, this has been something, anime has been climbing exponentially every single year. It wasn't like a lot of these companies here recently where they had this like COVID bump, and then after COVID went away and the lockdowns were done, it's like they just all plummeted, and then suddenly layoffs like massively crazy, like every single game studio and all these streaming platforms and whatnot all did the same thing. Anime didn't really do that because they had this healthy incline. But the other aspect of that is really just my whole thing with this whole idea of a bubble and why I kept kind of repeating that there's something coming. I almost feel like there's something coming. A lot of it had to do with how much Sony specifically was investing and how much control they were getting. They were getting this global, especially United States, kind of control of streaming rights. And I felt like what was going to happen is that eventually Crunchyroll's not going to license all these shows. And it feels like they were pumping out 60 plus shows a season with this expectation that they're going to get this immediate injection of money because, well, Crunchyroll's going to license it, right? And I thought eventually it's going to come to this point where they bought Funimation, and High Dive's not a threat. Netflix is doing their own thing. Amazon gave up. So, hey, let's just and yeah, Hulu's over here getting one or two, or Disney. So let's just not license everything. We don't have to worry about competition snatching up those licenses. Let's just not buy them, or just offer really cheap amounts of money for licensing them. And that might be what's actually happening. Or they're just bundling them, buying them all together, through the deals with Sony or whatever. And again, my whole expectation there was that they're building all this stuff, and then eventually, suddenly, Sony says, stop buying everything. Or offer really cheap amounts for those licenses. And that was going to cause that bond to fall out. Because, yes, a lot of these companies are going, make anime. We're making so much money with overseas distribution. Again, overseas distribution has eclipsed domestic sales and money making of anime in Japan. It's eclipsed it. It was like 50-50 like 3 years ago. It's more. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that a lot of that money, the shonens. Those are making massive amounts of money. Those are the things that are costing them a fortune to buy, distribution through theaters and stuff like that. That is the big ticket things that cost a lot of money to license. And that's what's injecting that money. So it's like, there's a lot of info that counters my arguments. And I think because I can acknowledge that I have counter arguments for myself, that I can acknowledge that I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, there's also the how many studios have we been hearing about that are randomly appearing out of nowhere? It seems like
how many are closing down? They're not closing down.
Well, the reason
there's some that are being like consumed, but not really shut down.
It seems like when we've been doing the preview podcast, it seems like we're hearing more and more. Who's that? I've never heard of them.
They made a hentai.
They made
Who's that? Oh, they made a hentai. I don't see the bubble happening so much anymore because it's not just Crunchyroll. This is like Asia and everywhere else in the world. It's like anime in general worldwide is getting huge. It's not just America. Like even the concepts of like censorship that everybody talks about, it's like it's not really United States. It's a lot of these other countries that are getting into now. The biggest concern for regulations hitting anime in some way, shape, or form is places like China. It's getting big over there. Eventually, it's going to start cutting in there, or whatever. So, it's growing massively, and I think the only thing that's really going to hurt it is if just the Japanese economy itself bottoms out or tanks down. Which is, yes, the yen is not doing particularly well. It hasn't done well for 3 years now. It keeps going down.
No, longer
than that. Yeah, it's been like a massive decline. It feels like it was massively declining here recently, but yeah, it's been dropping.
Yeah, they had a big hit recently, but yeah.
So unless they have like a really big issue over there in that regard for their economy, I think it's just going to keep growing, and it's going to keep growing. And again, I think it's it's one of those ones where the more I look at it, the more I think it's kind of a healthy grow. There was something here recently. I was actually thinking of making a video on it, so we're just end up talking about it now. There was and I might have brought this up in a previous podcast, but there was a statement made by the guy that is the head of Anime Ego now, and he was making a statement that he was at the Anime Expo, and he talked to a bunch of industry people. He didn't say who, and he said that he's afraid of a bubble. And his whole statement there was really because I think probably from his standpoint, I think he said something to the effect of there's just too much stuff coming out.
Yeah, didn't you say that was from the merchandise side?
Like I said, he didn't really say. He specifically, one of the things that he said was specifically about there's too much coming out that we can't get it all. And I think that was yes, he probably has a lot of merchandising things that he's talking about, but he's also in licensing anime properties, like the actual animations. He's distributing, TV shows. So there is a side of it where, yeah, I can see his point of view that there's so much coming out. And this was, again, my argument with Crunchyroll. Eventually they're going to say we're not going to be able to license everything. There's too much coming out. And so, yeah, I can see if he's talking to, licensors, yeah, it's probably from a perspective of we can't sell all this stuff. Like, again, it was similar to what happened with, back in the day where you would go to a video store and you would see just shelves of just so many different anime properties that were just being churned out, and you didn't even know you don't know what was good on the shelf. You're just like, okay, the character on the side of this one looks cute. Like back in those days, the spine was the seller. Like they had to do a good choice on what goes on the spine, because that's what you seen was a spine, because there was so much crap there. Or they would do the cool layout of a scenery with each volumes, and then there was always the second one that was always gone.
Yeah.
So you didn't get the whole damn picture. That's why I always loved buying those box sets that came with it all. Just get it all at once. And they would a lot of them. My experience was DVDs. There was those ones that they would sell. The first volume had the box, just trying to get you to buy the rest of it. Well, now I have an empty box with the first volume. I guess I have to buy the rest of the parts of that particular series. I did that for like Air. Air was one that I did that for. I bought my Evangelion all together because it was a complete box set together. But what was I getting at this? But yeah, there's a lot of stuff coming out, and you can make the argument of like, I mean, we're already experiencing that with Crunchyroll. Right now with Crunchyroll, there's a lot of shows where I'm like, is this even going to get a Blu-ray? Now that Funimation is pretty much out of the picture, it doesn't seem like Crunchyroll's releasing they're releasing Blu-rays, don't get me wrong. But there's a concern of like, what are they releasing Blu-ray anymore? Like, it felt like it took forever to get freaking Mushoku Tensei. It was like 2 years before they finally released that Blu-ray. At some point I was thinking they're never going to release it. There is a concern that we're getting to the point now where there's so many shows that yes, your favorite shows probably aren't going to get a Blu-ray, or it won't get a dub. So a lot of the dub watchers are probably just not having a good time right now, because a lot of these shows we're talking about and we're loving. Did Onimai ever get a dub? I doubt it would probably get a dub if it doesn't have a dub. I doubt it ever gets a dub. But there was probably a time where, love it or hate it, every show felt like it got a dub or some kind of release. I mean, Funimation was churning them out like crazy with the dubs. It felt like if a show was coming out, they're gonna dub it. Now, granted, that's again oversimplifying. There was probably a lot that wasn't, but to his point, I agree. And it's literally what I was afraid of. It was my point of view, was we have too many shows and not enough time and not enough manpower and not enough sales. Why license everything when nobody's going to watch it all? Why dub everything when not everybody's going to watch it? Why release Blu-rays if not everybody's going to buy it? No, but nobody's going to buy every single Blu-ray that comes out every single season. I don't expect them to make a Blu-ray release of 50 shows a season.
Well, and that's an honest truth. I think we were debating the idea of how to fix the figure problem, the manga problem, in a lot of these situations, because when we had the old anime crash, it was based around the idea of just churning out DVDs like crazy. Because I don't know how many of y'all have followed us long enough. We actually lived through the anime bubble, the first anime bubble. And it really did come around. I remember just anime at the time, it was just everywhere, and it was crazy. It was this new thing. Everybody was excited about it, and we were like, okay, yeah, we've been following anime for a while. I'm kind of glad that now it's all available to me. And I went to the store and grabbed a whole bunch of DVDs, and obviously Andrew did that as well. It just was there, and then suddenly it was all gone. It's this weird dynamic of when we were talking about it at some point where we're discussing the idea of it, you kind of wish that you could get in on these board meetings, and you're like, who is it that is choosing these shows? It's like, why are you not paying attention? You're clearly not. You don't have your finger on the pulse. You say you do, but you don't.
Are you talking about interspecies reviewers.
Yeah, right? I mean, pay
Funimation
attention.
licensed that and goes, whoa. Really?
If
It's
all
in
you
the
have
title.
to do
Come
is
on. It's in the title.
all you have to do is actually be embedded into the community. You don't have to let everybody know who the hell you are, but you have to be paying attention to what people are talking about. What's getting the most chatter? Now, being able to foresee, that's a different animal. But if you know what is already getting traction and you see that somebody's publishing, get the freaking figures. You want to make money, get the figures of the shows that are going to be coming out that already have a traction of people that are excited about it. Guess what happens? A plus B equals C. You get it. It's that simple. I don't understand why this is so freaking hard, but apparently it is.
I mean, we were for those that don't know, I've had a 40 gaming mat for ever since the beginning of this year, and I got it sent to me for free from 40 Gaming, which I really appreciate. And I was like, I wanted to use it for a while to make sure that, because I don't like to say, hey guys, this is really cool, without really feeling like I can back it up. And so I wanted to use it for a few months and see if it's, durable and it's comfortable for that entire time. And as much time as I sit at my desk every single day, it's like in the 12 to 15 hours a day kind of scenario, 7 days a week. But I'm like, okay, I keep forgetting, and at some point I'm like, okay, I need to make a post. Say, hey, what's up, guys? Thank you so much for you guys sending this to me. I like this thing. I can honestly say this thing's great. And I said in my post, literally, make anime ones, give me an affiliate link, I'll sell these damn things. That's how much I like it. And I immediately said, they kind of replied to it, and I immediately said, you have 5 weeks. You have 5 weeks to make a Yuki of Roshidere version, and I will sell them like hotcakes. Yuki of Roshidere right now is insanely popular. If you can make one of that character in 5 weeks, I'll sell them. I said 5 weeks. Why? Because once those 5 weeks are over, people are on to Re:Zero. They're on to the next shows.
I was thinking they need to get some rims. They need to get some...
Yeah. Right now, you guys need to be talking to people at Kodokawa or whatever and getting Re:Zero mats. Mm-hmm. Anime, because I'm talking to Web Gaming, and he's got a friend with their company, and yeah, me and him have been trying to push them to get some anime mats.
I want a Beatrice exclusive just for me.
We were talking about getting anime versions of the stuff, and it's like, yeah, they just have to know how to work the system. And it sucks because that's how anime is. There's so much merch for anime that goes out there. A lot of it's, pay to pre-order, because a lot of it they know will eventually die. You're buying pre-orders for figurines because they're year 2 out before it finally releases, and by then you probably forgot that you've probably forgotten the character by the time it actually comes out with a figurine. But like typical merch, it just never seems to sell because, again, like we've mentioned several times before, the moment the season ends, everybody forgets those characters. The moment the next season starts, I'd be surprised to see how long people talk about Yuki of Roshidere once the season ends. They're going to be talking about Emilia. They're going to be talking about Rem. They're going to be talking about,
it's rare. It's rare to get a Bochi character, a character who seems to
a zero two, what her name was from Darla and the Franxx.
Every once in a while, there's a character that kind of transcends the season, but it's very rare.
But I don't think even then, like Bochi, I don't think is that. I mean, there's going to be some people that won't let it die, but it's not.
She's not as strong as some of them, but yeah, she definitely.
Well, I'm saying yes, Bochi itself is longer lasting than really anything else you really see typically. But it's like, does that translate to anything besides? I like seeing a cute picture of Bochi every now and then. Mm-hmm. Is it buying merch? Is it buying figures? No, it's just they like seeing Bochi pictures every now and then. A fandom and a willingness to buy, I think, is usually in that hype period. And again, for anime fans, it's a season. Once the season ends, it's done.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and that's why I was saying, if you already know what shows or what stories are already grabbing traction, you know that the anime is coming. That equals figures. If you get those figures and you have them ready to go, the second that first episode drops, you already have the buy now button. You'll have the figures sold.
Yeah, and I think it works really well for the companies that are like actually investing.
Yeah.
Like Good Smile, whenever they're typically on a production committee, you're going to see like at least Ninjoys popping up of the show that's actually coming out, and that's nice. But everything else, like I said, like anything, like a stinking bumper sticker, a freaking keychain or something. Give me something that is not a pre-order 5 months out.
Yeah.
I want it now. Like when Roshidari is out right now, I would love to be able to buy merch on, not anymore on Crunchyroll.com. I'm done with that website. But that's a rant itself.
I don't think you ever liked Crunchyroll.com.
No, I mean the store. I'm officially at this point done with their store.
Well, no, and that's what I meant was their store, because I think that.
Well, my hope was that
now that
Grams, Iowa, Right Stuff's dead. That warehouse at this point is dead. They're dead to me. Anyway, that's a side topic there. I'll make a whole video on it eventually. I'm ready to finally talk about it. But what was I talking about? But yeah, I want to be able to buy it.
Do we have any more bridges left with Crunchyroll? Because at this point, I think that we've burned almost every one of them.
They want me to be an affiliate. I won't. I think the only reason they're asking me to be an affiliate is because it's some random third party company they work with now that doesn't know. It's like they emailed me. I'm like, oh, you don't know, do you? I had to contact I do have a contact at Crunchyroll. I had to contact them and say, is this thing legit? Because I don't know what this company is. And they're asking me for information. Yeah, let me check. You don't know who does your affiliate programs? Okay, that's concerning that you don't. Okay. Anyways, side tangent. But no, the like I said, the guy from Anime Ego Group, he specifically said, I still have 2 meetings to go to at AX, but so far my takeaways are, 1, and this is the one I think is going to be the bigger discussion, so let's wait on that one. 2, anime merch sales have fallen off a cliff, especially figures. When we talked about this last time, yeah, my immediate response to that is, well, duh. Do you know what's going on in the world right now? The economy sucks. Nobody's got money to buy your overpriced merch.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy your figures at AX that probably cost $100 over the ticket value. I don't go to cons. I'm going to eventually start getting into cons, but I know just based on secondhand information, I've been to some locations that are not anime specific cons, but yes, typically when you go to cons, the price of things is extremely higher.
Yeah.
It's just that fact that it's right there. You don't have to pay for shipping or anything like that. You can see it, which is kind of a nice thing as well. You can see it before you buy it. These things are massively overpriced, and figures are already expensive in general. But again, the main key problem is nobody's got money right now. The economy sucks right now. People are pinching pennies right now. Gas prices are really expensive. The stuff that you're buying at the store costs a lot. People don't have money for merch right now. So
Yeah.
the second point on his list is like, I think that's just because people don't have disposable income like they used to. They can't buy all of your merch. So I think the second one, to me, doesn't make any sense. Now, I can see it making sense, the idea of how... I will give him credit here. I do see there being which I don't think is going to be the case, because typically with what I know with a lot of cons, it usually typically molds around what's currently hot. So a lot of merch will be centered around, like right now, obviously, a lot of people are complaining that the art corners, what's most of the art corner right now? Hoyoverse? VTubers. So unless you're a Hoyoverse or a VTuber fan,
yeah, because
you probably don't have much stuff to buy right now, because the artists are wanting to make things that will sell.
Yeah, everybody's complaining that there's too much
like Attack on Titan
on there. Yeah.
For the longest time, Attack on Titan, and they're going to be Demon Slayer stuff. So yeah, there is something to say there. But I can give him credit if I stretch the point of view to the idea of, because there's so much stuff, that means that the fandom is so much spread that you can make an argument that the merchandise doesn't sell because you're unless you do that and focus on the most popular stuff, if you're selling figurines at the con, unless you sell nothing but the big shonens and not figurines from, you're not going to put a Yatagarasu character figurine on your there. It's not going to, people are going to walk by and go, what's this show? No, they're going to go, I want the Iron Jaeger. They're not going to buy a random figure from Yatagarasu. They're not going to buy a figurine from, what's another, I parry everything, the girl from that show. Nobody's going to buy that. So I don't necessarily think that argument works. I think his second point there, I think that's just really people are just struggling for money. You can watch tons of anime and be a massive anime fan and it not cost you really anything, because you're either going to pirate it or you have a really cheap sub with Crunchyroll and you're able to watch 50 shows a season and not have to worry about it. But buying a $300 figurine, that's different.
I think now I remember when I was coming up with that, or when I was talking about that, it wasn't in regards to the figures and stuff like that. It was more in regards to the idea of how to get the manga and the books, the light novels and stuff like that over into the Western audience. That because the problem was that they were concerned about whether or not they would be profitable to bring those over and translate these big old long novels. And the main novels, why would you not translate them if you already know that there's an anime there? It would be worth it, because people are going to go digging into the source material if they get to a certain point, especially when a lot of these are half the time manga baits anyway.
I think there is probably a lot of discussions behind the scenes that, companies like Seven Seas or whatever, they have a contact at one publisher in Japan or whatever, and they're looking at licenses, and they probably do get word every now and then, this is getting an anime adaptation, you want to license this? Yeah. Because if we can license that book, bring it over here, and then it gets... There's been cases where we see that Seven Seas or somebody has like the most obscure freaking light novel they're licensed over here, and then literally a month later, it's been announced for an anime adaptation.
Yeah.
Sure as hell they knew. Because what's going to happen is that, just like Mushoku Tensei, this is how most stuff in Japan works, is these anime adaptations are really popular for like the first episode, and then what happens is if it's good enough first episode, and this is why all the budget's put in that first episode, because you'll see a lot of anime where first 2 episodes are good, and then the third and on is like, what happened to the budget? They just had to get that first episode good, because what happens is Billy Bob goes to work the next day, and they grab that, that second volume off of the shelf, and they start reading it, and they don't even go back to the anime. It's literally a PV. They're getting a PV in that first episode. And that's going to be the same effect over here if these, and again, I think it's happening a lot now, is these companies are finally picking up on this. And even if it is, blah, blah gets an anime adaptation for 2025, you got to get that license. Get that license now. So that hopefully by the time the episode airs, we have at least the first volume out, because it's going to sell like crazy, because everybody's going to be wanting to read it at that point. I have that feeling every single season now. It feels like, again, even though I know I don't have the time and I'm not going to do it, I'm getting a lot now, since I've gotten into Mushoku Tensei, a desire to start reading source material again, whereas I always hated reading books. But ever since getting into Mushoku Tensei, I have this constant feeling now that every single time a show airs, I'm thinking about checking out the source material. 80,000 Gold was that. I'm like, I actually really enjoyed 80,000 Gold. I think that would be a really good light novel to get into. It sounds like really, really fun. What was the other one here recently? I was like thinking about the light novel.
And the audiobooks are going crazy. I love seeing all those shows getting onto Audible and stuff like that. So,
well, it's funny because the audiobook is like a given. It's like if you're translated already, why wouldn't you do an audio version of it? If it's cheap enough to throw together an audiobook version of it, why wouldn't you? You have that record studio booked. Get Billy in there again. Have him read the first pages of this one. Mushoku Tensei, they turned those out. They passed me up so fast. I was joking about how the fact that I was probably gonna, I was wondering if I was gonna be able to beat the audiobook to the end doing Mama Shoko Monday, and it's like,
Nope.
It seemed like they were turning out a volume every 2 weeks at least, if not 1 week. So I'm like, yeah, whoever they had working on that project, that dude destroyed his throat, I'm guessing, because he just turned it out like crazy. I was shocked how fast they did that. The first point, anime content bubble is probably going to burst soon. Way too many shows and nobody can handle it. Not fans, nor the industry. That one, I think, is where it falls into my thought process. But again, the question that I had, and again, I don't think that he ever did say this, and I don't think that he would say, who was he talking about? Who was he talking to? Because there was a lot of industry people that were there, and obviously, I think even Studio Orange people were there. I think they had some people from Bones that was there. There was a lot of, again, it's Anime Expo. It's going to be a lot of industry people that are going to be there, but it's like, who is he talking to? Is he talking to just the licensors? Is he just talking to just random fans? I'm sure he went to probably a lot of the meetups, a lot of the panels, probably heard some people talking here and there. Yeah. No crap, you're going to hear fans say, it's 60 shows a season, I can't watch it all. That's a given. And that's always been our concern as well. The problem that comes with so many shows is, who the hell's watching it all? I'm watching. I have some friends that try to push to watch everything, or at least, a good chunk. But I think we're the outlier. We're the minority here.
Yeah.
Most people, they choose their two shows a season.
The only way that I could see, if I was to actually get serious and start getting crazy about watching all the shows, I would have to speed up the show.
That's really, yeah.
Because at the point that we're at, you would literally, 30 hours a week is just absurd.
Yeah. Because technically it's not 30 minutes each, and also Maho Aku is not a full-length show.
Yeah, if you want to do plinks and technicalities on.
And technically, Sekai Susukai Squad, it's already done. That one's already done.
Yeah.
And sometimes a show is not airing in a week.
Okay, go ahead and do your actually.
We had the Olympic fifth year, and so a lot of those were delayed a week. That was actually a very much so welcome breath of fresh air, because how much I was behind on a bunch of stuff. It's like, oh good, thankfully I don't have this show this week, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's no of this show. No, how dare you take away my anime for your stupid Olympics, your normie crap. But no, like I said, I can agree with him there, strictly on the idea of, again, that goes back to what we were talking about before. I kept saying earlier was, is it going to come to a point where Crunchyroll doesn't get all this stuff? Because yes, a good question to have is, I would give so much to be able to see Crunchyroll's analytics, to be able to get into their back end and see how many each episode of each show, how many times they're viewed. I would love for a view count. I almost want to, if we were popular enough, if the YouTube channel was popular enough, I would love to be able to get everybody to download a custom made plugin for their browser, and then everybody for an entire season use that plugin, and it counts viewership, and it gets this massive number from everybody. Because there's a side of me that wonders, let's look at the list of shows right now. Let me go to AnyChart. Apparently I can't spell AnyChart right now. Let's go down the bottom, all the way down over there. Let's go to here. Okay, so one of the lowest popular shows, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, is one of the lowest ones. This one doesn't actually, it shows a membership over here. On any chart, Sakuna is the lowest with a 5,100 popularity. I would love to see how many people are actually watching Sakana. And there's a side of me that's wondering, like, what are the chances that Sakana of Rice and Ruin on Crunchyroll's website right now, their viewership count for, let's say, the 8th episode is 10. 10 users on the entire platform even watches Sakana. Not that I'm saying that Sakana is a bad show. I love Sakana, by the way. It's a really good show. It's just, it's in the wave of, again, 55 some shows, it's the lowest. Because you expect that, yes, a lot of people, shoot, I wouldn't even guess that Sengoku Yoku is probably doing garbage right now. But in the wake, again, and probably shows like Roshidere probably is doing insanely well. And again, shows like My Hero Academia is probably doing millions every episode. But these other shows, what does that look like to Crunchyroll? They're looking at those stats. There ain't no doubt that they know what those stats are. This isn't. There's no good company is not going to be knowing exactly how many people are going to hitting every single one of these shows. And the question comes: at what point do they finally go? You know, we got to stop. We got to stop getting all these shows. But I think the problem that comes from that, of course, is
the backlash.
The backlash. It breeds competition. It's going to be that quick for somebody to step up and say, we got those. Don't worry, guys. We got all those properties. It's on our platform. Or we're opening up a new anime.
And that's what I was.
That's when you're going to get a new anime company is going to pop up out of nowhere and say, "We're in the business now. Come to our site."
And that was what I was going to say when you were saying at what point do they kind of start cutting it off? They're not going to do that until they have it absolutely cornered.
Yeah,
they're not going to. That is too cutthroat. And so they're not going to do it until they know they've got it in the bag.
But again, I do understand what he's saying here is that for the majority of the fans, you can't keep up with it all. And it's, I think the sad part of it is when you do have a season where there is like at least like 5 shows that are just super good. It does suck when I talk to some people on Discord and I'd say, yeah, like that person that was saying this is a crappy season. And I can't really expect when people listen to us on our first impressions or whatever, and I do my top 10, best shows of the season so far, and I'm listing out Oshinoko and Roshidere and Makane and Evil Lieutenant and even shows like Sakana, Days of My Stepsister. There's a lot of really, really good shows, and I know that most people don't have the time to watch more than 2 shows, and so they're cut out of the conversation for most of the stuff. Like I just had, I think it was Sization or somebody on the Discord who's like, "Oh man, I see that Andrew's covering Makane and I'm thinking of checking it out tonight. Finally got some time." Yes, please. Yes, please go watch it. Give me a full detail report when you get back. It sucks for most people that don't have the time to watch all this stuff. I mean, you have been covering anime for a long time now, and recently it's probably eating at you that you can't watch every show that Andrew's going bazonkers about and saying that you need to watch before the review. That's the biggest hurt of the oversaturation is the inability to watch, especially when it's a good season. I think most people don't care that they're not going to be able to get caught up on the evil demon lord's lieutenant is a human. Who cares? But again, the bigger stuff, the more talked about stuff, even for long running series, I think it's a big pain too, because Monogatari series is insanely good. And I meant to get, I want to do a poll to get it out here. I want to do a poll asking what people, their reason for not getting into it. Because I think it's really mixed for most people. And a good chunk of people, it's going to be, I don't have time in an already busy season that you're telling me, Oshinoko, I need to watch that. Hey, Andrew, you told me to watch Oshinoko. Oshinoko's really good. You told me to watch Roshidere. You told me to watch Makane. You told me to watch Stepsister. You told me that show, Elusive Samurai, is really gorgeous looking. And now you're going to ask me to watch
80 shows,
90 episodes of Monogatari series when a good chunk of it's not even available on Crunchyroll. The hell are you doing? Why even bother? Why even bother licensing off a monster season when you don't have Zoku Wari Monogatari on your site, I don't even think you have Kizu Monogatari on your site. It's not in a list. You have to go to each individual one, and nobody knows the name of every single one unless they have a Wikipedia open up on the side. Put it in a list with a drop down. Shoot. I know people are going to do it. I won't. I promise you I won't do it. You're going to get a lot of criticism for this, but I personally will not criticize you for this. Name them season 1, season 2, season 3. As long as it's in a list and it's in release order, not chronological. Don't even try, because then you're gonna have like off in Monster season 1 episode is going to be before Kizu Monogatari, and it's just going to be a mess. You're going to have some. I think there's some in Wari Monogatari. Don't. Just season 1 is Baku Monogatari. Season 2, season 3, all the way down. I won't criticize you. You're going to have a lot of... Actually, it's not season 1 or season 2. But do it, please. Because the actually people are going to criticize you because they think they're smart and they want to show they're smart by telling you're wrong. But the random anime fan... I'm sorry, as many people that I get that come back at me when I say how much people are sleeping on a Monogatari series, how many people come to me and say, I have no clue what you're talking about. Go check out Baku Monogatari. Start from there. Okay, then what? Nisei second season. There's black and there's white, and Suki. Oh my, there's Awari. Don't forget Zoku. Yeah, Zoku's after Awari. Is Awari 1, Awari 2, and then there's Zoku. It's like, just call them seasons. Please, Crunchyroll, just do it. Make it simple. Make it simple for the common anime fan. That's the point here, people. And I think you'll get a lot of people that will adopt it.
Yeah, a show like that has such a high barrier of entry as it is. So
yeah, because the problem that people have right now is they're on Crunchyroll and they're like, okay, I just watched Boruto, man. It was so good. Boruto's so peak. What's else on? What else do they have on this website? I mean, Attack on Titan final season Castle. What was? Oh, it was a dub. Never mind. Sorry. They're looking at the site and then they go to, okay, maybe at the time it's Saturday and they're going, man, I just watched My Hero Academia, man, peak My Hero Academia, man, love that show. And then they see Monogatari season off monster. I like monsters. And they click on this monster button, and then it comes up and like, man, okay, this girl's got these. Is this censored or is this probably not loading? This just okay. They got this upskirting up on this picture right here, and they go down, and then they jump right into, okay, this is episode 1, right? Yeah, this is the only season. I don't have a drop down right here. Like My Hero Academia, when you click on this little title right here, there's a drop down. So I know this is the first season, right? And they click on episode 1, and they're like, who the hell is eating ice cream and getting yelled at by some random schoolgirl? Oh, she's a doll? Wait, she's a phoenix? No, that's the season. This is a weird show. Whereas if they were bumping into here, again, knowing how this website's structured, they will click on that title there, get a drop down, and they will see, again, like I said, I won't laugh, season 1, season 2, and they will see how many seasons are we, like we would be technically like season 9 or something like that right now.
Yeah.
That's what your common, normal anime fan is going to need to know. Because it's the best way to bring it back to it. And again, like I said earlier, why bother even licensing this season? Now, again, behind the scenes, I'm looking at MAL numbers. Behind the scenes, they could be getting millions of views on these episodes. I doubt it, based on how little conversation it seems like it's happening. But I just don't get how somebody's going to jump right into the show from the get-go and understand it. Now, again, I'm not giving people enough credit. They're probably able... Most people are probably have a sense of knowing what Monogatari series is. But again, we're not talking about your anime fans. We're talking about the guy that was just watching My Hero Academia, which I'm sorry is 99% of the anime viewers. Is they just watch My Hero Academia. 99% of the anime viewers is just watching Demon Slayer. 99% of Crunchyroll's viewers of the fandom in the West is just watching the shonens. You have to make it not stupid proof, but you have to make it understandable for people that haven't been entrenched in it for years. Monogatari series is very complicated when it comes to titles. We're just used to it. Nobody else outside of the fandom knows what Bake Monogatari, Nisei Monogatari, Owari Monogatari, Zoku Monogatari, Suki Monogatari, Hana Monogatari, all those mean. Anyways, that was a weird side tangent. What are we talking about? The plethora of anime. I don't know how I got from there, but I understand the idea of having so many shows.
You were going on
and
about the analytics, and I think that that's an interesting aspect. Because I would love to know the analytics. I'd love to see the numbers.
I mean, the scary aspect of it, and something that we do have a sense from, is something that I'm not sure if I talked on here, it was a while back, was that whole discussion from Sony talking about their growth. And their growth was millions of subs in this one span of time. And what they contributed to? Demon Slayer. They seen a massive growth in sub. We're talking like, I think it was like 5 million subscribers per month. And they said Demon Slayer. That was it. You had millions of people subscribing to Crunchyroll probably just to watch Demon Slayer, and that was probably it. But yeah, the analytics is very curious. I would love... They do every now and then, they'll release like a map, and it shows like what was the most popular shows in whatever state or region or country. But it's like, man, I would love if one day they posted that, but they forgot to take off the numbers, and so it just shows all their viewership for all this stuff. I would eat that info up. Somebody, if you're listening and you just don't like your job, you're in that back room and they treat you like garbage. They keep stealing your damn stapler.
It's my stapler. It's my stapler.
I am an ally. Fully understand.
You just gave me a complete and total memory.
Email me that list. I'll keep it confidential. And if you send me your address too, I'll send you a stapler.
My stapler.
And a tube of glue. They'll never get that damn thing off your desk after that. I love it. I would love it. Nobody.
I mean, the leaks happen from somewhere. I mean, there's got to be somehow.
Speaking of which, that was bad. I haven't seen the other leaks come out on that, but man, that's another side effect to how things are growing so much. Is just like the leaks are getting crazy now.
Yeah.
The Dandadan 6 episodes that got out? That sucks. Ranma 1/2. All those episodes that got leaked out there.
Oh, really?
You didn't hear about that?
Mm-mm.
I thought we talked about it. Yeah, they had what was it? 6 episodes of Dandadan, which that was like one of the most anticipated shows of fall. Boop. Several episodes of Ranma 1/2. The entire Terminator anime series.
Oh, wow.
All of it. Mononoke movie. That one. The whole movie. And then ReZero season 3 episode 1, but that was like technically from the France Expo or something like that episode. The other ones were like 480p, like time-stamped, watermarked production stuff. It was leaked out of the dubbing company. The company that did the dubbing. They goofed up. They done goofed. They even actually made a comment. They actually made a post on their website saying, "Yeah, we're aware of it. We had a data breach. We take our job extremely serious in the privacy of our." Yeah, I hope you get sued in the ground. I don't want him to get sued in the ground, but there is like an element of like, they were talking about it being like a simple API exploiting of it. Like it was just, they went on there, they made an account, and they were able to pull that data right out of there. And it's like, these leaks have got to stop, because these companies are like, they're riding on that that mystique of it. And I think there's a lot of people that will watch those crappy leaked versions because they want to get in the conversation, and it probably ruins the show for them. They probably don't care for it. And then all that hype's down the drain. Yeah. All that potential money that Netflix or whatever made from having people sub and watch the first episodes of it, that money goes back to the companies. It sucks all around. Plus, they were talking about how like they have more, and this isn't just anime. They have apparently like there was a few like Western properties that got leaked out too. So it was a big. Whoever got in there got a. I know why he only did 480p. Well, one, because these companies typically will send out really low res versions of it that are watermarked, because the dubbing company and stuff like that, they don't need to watch the show.
Right.
They just need to know when to say what when and where to put the subtitles. So they're the time is there to time things. So it's not meant to be it's not meant to be watched. I did not partake in any of it, obviously, because I don't care to ruin the experience with that, but I was a little curious about Ron 1/2. It went like expected. At least with the Ron 1/2 remake, it at least has sort of a... They're riding the line. So, yeah, obviously, and unfortunately, saying obviously, times have changed even for Japan. And so, to get that broader audience, and even in Japan, they are making things less showy. So yes, there's no like old school Ranma nips everywhere, but they're at least like riding that line where the stuff gets really close. You're just skirting it a little bit, just not showing the actual dots or ponce or whatever. It is a little bit of a bummer, but at the same time, I kind of expected it. When they first announced that the Ranma 1/2 was getting and I was surprised that it came out so quick, because I mean we were just talking about Urusei Yatsura finishing up, and I was already talking at that point, man. I'm wondering when Ranma's gonna happen. I was already sold at that point. They're gonna do Ranma, but I was afraid of it because I'm like, Ranma's they didn't hide from any of it. Like it was just kind of just there.
Ranma
like not that they were going out of their way to show it, but it's like. He falls in the water, it's going to show. It's suddenly there's something there that wasn't there before.
Yeah,
but,
that's, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, going based on her properties, I mean, you got mild, kind of medium, and then hot, and it would be kind of in line.
Like the show, hot and cold?
Yeah, exactly. You got... Urusei Yatsura is going to be kind of your mild, and then Ranma is pretty much in your hot range if you consider it that. It's still ecchi.
I will say though, I'm kind of actually excited for Ranma to come back, because at least with that one, the characters and stuff were, it was still comedy obviously, but from what I remember, it was a lot more character focused. So I do have a hope that, whereas Urusei Yatsura felt like it was very, because the main character was such a pervert, like just a thirsty pervert, the ecchi humor kind of played well with that. Whereas I think Ranma won't need it as much, even if it's not there. And again, I don't necessarily need it. My whole issue with Urusei Yatsura was that it felt like a lot of that comedy was kind of centered around the ecchi. But again, I think I kind of oversold I realized at some point I think I was overselling how much ecchi was in it, because I went back and looked at like the manga and stuff like that. It wasn't that prevalent, but it did feel like a lot of those punchlines kind of got killed really quickly because of it. But again, that's kind of that nice side effect from actually having the increase of anime, is that a lot of these older shows are at least getting returns, because. I mean, especially with Urusei Yatsura, as much as I think its comedy obviously didn't age well, they did a good job of kind of bringing it to a modern audience, and visually doing a fantastic job with it. And again, the seiyus and everybody did a great job with it as well. I think they just all around really brought that back to life. And again, a lot of properties that I think probably we never really were focused on before of ever getting an adaptation. We're getting more sequels now than ever. That's another nice side effect of how much anime is being churned out, is that you could say it's almost the Western effect, where they are almost relying on pre-established franchises and thus going to keep doing... Correcting myself mid-sentence here.
we for the longest time in the West, there wasn't. It's still prevalent, obviously, with like Marvel and stuff like that. With the West, there is like this dying in a lot of the industries and whatnot and storytelling, and so they're banking on all their properties. I mean, how many damn Lion King remakes are we gonna make? I think they're doing Snow White again. It's like they can't think of anything new, so they're just kind of just resurrecting these old properties over and over again. Now we're gonna do a live action. Now we're gonna do a CGI one. Now we're gonna do a live action CGI one. Whereas I think anime, and I don't want that effect to happen to anime. I don't want them to keep remaking Ranma 15 times. I don't want them to remake these properties, and they're not. We've seen remakes of Fruits Basket. We're doing with Spice and Wolf, Ranma, Urusei Yatsura, Ushio and Tora. There is Sailor Moon. They're doing remakes, but they're older properties.
Right.
I think Spice and Wolf was probably the least amount of time between doing a remake on it. What I like seeing more of is, unlike in the West, it's more of sequels, and it's not a rehashing because it's just continuing the story. These are for the longest time a lot of stories that we were not seeing the full story because we were getting the first 12 episodes, which is typically like, I don't know, the first 20 manga volumes or the first maybe possibly 2 or 3 volumes of a novel series, and that was it. But now, because we are seeing so much stuff and they're more, the anime itself is profitable. Whereas back in the day, it was, you weren't profitable unless you sold the source material. So now it's worth it to go, Spice and Wolf is pretty much done. Yes, they're for some reason still bringing out more of the Spice and Wolf novel series with some more novels. They're mostly in Parchment and Wolf.
Yeah.
So when they pop up with a new adaptation of it, you're not going to adapt Parchment and Wolf that's currently releasing? No, we're just going to make a Spice and Wolf again. Are you planning on restarting the Spice and Wolf French? No, we're just going to make a Spice and Wolf adaptation. You're going to do it right this time then? Yeah, we're going to adapt the whole thing. Again, that's not confirmed yet. I'm just saying, because they didn't skip a certain segment, it kind of makes me think that they might actually adapt more than 4 volumes, okay? That's at least that. I can at least give them that right now. And again, I think that's because, partly, because so much stuff is being brought out, that this stuff is finally worth actually going back to or doing a better job of, or, again, I can't see any other reason why. What other reason why would they have to make another Spice and Wolf?
No, and I agree. I mean, even in the case where we were to randomly get 128K or 128,000K TVs, and that we need to repixelize everything. But by that point, AI will get to the point where it'll be doing it all for us anyway, so it doesn't even matter. So we really don't need any remakes of anything after they've remade it to the modern era. So
that's what I said. One of these days, they're going to be doing in-betweens. I have no doubt. I'll give it before it's actually adopted, because there's cases of it already in existence, but I would give it probably another 2 years, and we'll probably have in-betweens all done by AI.
Probably.
Just they give them that first key art, they'll give them that last key art, and it will fill in that gap. If this part is the first part of him stepping, and then here's the last frame is the left foot forward, the AI will do that whole transition. It's just a given. It's just going to happen. I was messing with Twitter's Grok, telling it to make some stuff. It took me a while before I got cursed finger art. I'm still waiting for the day that we could just be done with cursed fingers in AI art. It's funny because I told the AR, I was trying to make the AR make some speed chans, the Otaku Spirit chan, and I told it, so I just randomly in my head was like, make a version of it where she just fell on her face and she's looking up with a sad face, like she just flopped on her face and she's looking up. It gave me a shot from down below looking up to her face. I'm like, no, not me falling on my face looking up, her falling on her face and looking up. Got it backwards, damn it. They're all right. Their AR stuff is okay. It's just very hard to manipulate and tell it like specific things. Like it does not get heterochromia. Like I'm like, give her heterochromia eyes. Okay, give me two-tone eyes. Give me two different color eyes. It just doesn't get it. It just does not want it. It doesn't want. And apparently, all of it believes a Shrine Maiden outfit is like something out of, I don't know, Honkai Star Rail or something like that. Like Sparkle's outfit, something like that. It's like, these are not Shrine Maiden outfits. What weird property are you pulling your Shrine Maidens out of? I don't know. Maybe again, just like a full-on open chest and everything. They even have a problem with, and I've seen it twice now, and like I made like 50 images out of it. They had like twice.
Is that the maximum before they?
2 hours.
2 hours. I gotcha.
50 inquiries every 2 hours.
Gotcha.
And all those inquiries can be for images. They have this issue where like if the chest, like say it's like the way it's laid out, it's just she's got like this white overhaul that's going over the chest. There's times where it can't decide if it's going to have that be a white cloth going over the chest or if it's just she's got an open chest and that's the skin tone. So it's like this transition from skin color to white.
Yeah, I hate it.
Like I'm wondering if it's pulling up like just a frontal nude and it's just trying to cover it up of the last second, because I don't think they probably don't allow nude. I haven't tried it. I should probably.
I think that what happens, because in a lot of the AI images that I've messed with, it seems like it loses track after it makes it up here, and then after a certain point it starts losing track of what it's been doing up here, and it
the hair turns into a ribbon, or the ribbon turns into hair.
I've had cursed extra legs. I've had cursed, and it's like, I've actually had two characters kind of merged at one point and then turn into one person, and it was like, that is just the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Where did that come from?
And it's so funny because that's transitioning to the videos now. Like you see all these cursed AI videos where like it's just like this village, and there's like these people sitting on these buckets, just hanging out on the side of the street, and then suddenly out of nowhere the granny starts sliding on her bucket out into the middle of the road, and then she turns into a guy on a bike and starts riding around. There was one crazy one where like it had two dogs on a bed, like on the pillow at the head of the bed. And then suddenly at some point, the dog looks over and rolls over and then turns into a person laying in the bed. And then suddenly out of nowhere, this lady just appears out of this other dog. And then randomly there's a dude between the two of them. So now there's a threesome in the bed. It's like, that stuff is so weird. Some guy that's welding something, and suddenly he walks over to this other vehicle that's there. And then suddenly the welder's in his hand. Suddenly it becomes rockets under his feet, and he starts flying up in the air, and then he turns into a rocket ship that flies off into the distance. It's like, it's pretty much what happens when characters' hair turns into ribbons in still art is happening in the actual AI videos. But it's still like super, super good stuff. And like I said, it's only a matter of time before that stuff is making anime.
Yeah.
Just like that, what was that? It was that show here recently that I watched that was like it was the Gene of AI. Gene of AI, as much as I told everybody, Gene of AI is not like a super interesting show. I mean, there's some good episodes in there. Like it's one of those, like I said, it was one of those shows where you can give a list of like 4 episodes. You watch this episode, this episode, this episode, and then don't watch the rest. It's just, it has these really good stories mixed in there, because most of the episodes are just self-contained stories. And one of them was, the world has gone to the point where everything is generated by AI. Entertainment is generated by AI, but it all falls under these rules that AI has to follow, and it never goes outside of that. So you had this creator that was literally one man creating an anime series, and the reason that he was pushing himself too much and using AI to animate it for him, his story, was because he wanted to tell these stories that were, the whole concept of that episode is that they were trying to stop him because his stuff was super violent and super edgy, and the main character was the bad guy, question mark. It was doing what was not in the societal norms that AI was taught to do, and so he was trying to push out those boundaries. So, weird tangent. Yeah, so that's our discussion on the great bubble of anime that we end up turning this into. So maybe I'll make an intro and just turn it into that in general. But that was a lot of fun, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just throw it up on there and people will figure it out by the time we talk for the first hour on the anime bubble. Which again is something I want to talk about with that whole post from that guy from Anime Ego, which again I don't necessarily think that he's wrong. I just think he's wrong with the merchandise. Again, I think that's the economy. That's just, I think, in general, the economy. Things are super stupid. I just bought a $260 battery today. My battery went out in my car. It costed me $260. And that wasn't the expensive one.
Right.
There was one that was like $300. A battery. I remember the first time I bought a battery, I think it was for my Saturn. And that was like $50. Now, granted, the throughput and the output of that battery back then versus these new batteries is a lot more complicated, probably a lot more cells in there and whatnot. I acknowledge that there's a different technology here and a different necessity from the battery itself, but are we talking about 5 times as much more necessity here? Probably not. If bolts come out here, Nick come big here. we don't need to put there ain't no special chips in there. These things don't have like the chips are outside of it. But it's just things are getting pricey. Gas prices going up, everything's going up, and with that, its disposable income goes down. Somebody asked me on randomly in my Mashuko Monday as everybody's crying and I'm crying in the Mashuko Monday. Some person pops in and is like, hey, why don't you do unboxings anymore? I'm guessing they probably found the Otaku Spirit YouTube channel back when all we did was unboxings. And I'm like, when I get disposable income again. It's like the original YouTube channel for Mashuko, I want to say Mashuko, Otaku Spirit, the YouTube channel was just there because I wanted something to throw unboxing videos on. Our main thing was just the podcast. So yeah, I just had these little things I wanted to throw together, take pictures of my figures and post them up there. But shoot, if I can make my full-time YouTube channel nothing but me unboxing figurines, that'd be great. I'll just have to find which one to put it all. If somebody ever wants a room tour, it's like they see like where I stream from is right here. This is where I do my unboxings right here. And then suddenly like, okay, you guys want a room tour? And I turn the camera and it's just a massive amount of like this massive wall of figurine boxes. The boxes are the worst. Anyways.
I have a box of boxes.
I had at some point I wanted to just tear them all down. Just like this urge to tear them all down. I think I did the Nindroids, didn't I? No, I think I still
a lot
have
of the
my
Nindroids got shifted into the into the little the old one of our first figure boxes that we had grabbed.
That's the frustrating thing about it. It's like there's this expectation that you're going to sell it. And I figured that my mindset is like, yeah, I could come down to, let's say tomorrow things just kind of hit the fan. There's like a strap for money, and it's like, yeah, I like the ability to bring the box in here, put the figurine in it, and list it on eBay because, yeah, technically with a box is going to be much. I mean, some of these probably not going to be that different if it has a box, but there's going to be stuff like like the Hook version of, is it Fook? Hook or Fook? A version of Saber Altar. That box is literally a chunk of it because it's designed to fit the artwork inside there. It's got this nice little panel around there, and you slide everything in there, and it's beautiful. The box itself is beautiful with it. But yeah, and I think that having that available to sell is nice, but would I ever do it? It's like, why do I keep it if you're never gonna do it?
That's my thinking is like when I stop and think about would I ever sell my figures? Probably not. I don't think I ever bought them with that in mind. Now, if somebody randomly, if somebody randomly walked up and said, "Hey, I'll hand you $1 million if you hand me your Tama," okay, bye. I love my Tama, but seriously,
who was it? I think it was Ida or somebody. I made somebody mad by saying that I would be willing to sell my entire detolf of sabers because, like, we were talking about the waifu stuff, and I was like, yeah, there's a point in which you kind of. Not that I don't like Saber, but it's like I'm not like super hyper fan like I used to be. So I would be like totally willing to clear out an entire detolf by selling all my Sabers. And it's like, that's wrong. You can't say that. I'm like, I'm just being honest. I would love to start. I don't know. Yeah, give me a Yuki of Roshideri. I'm gonna eventually get a figurine of her or something like that to throw in there.
Well, and that's the crown jewel of my collection is my Tama. Now, like I said, there's a difference between somebody walking up to me and handing me $1 million and whether or not I'm planning on selling my Tama figure. I don't plan on selling my Tama figure. Everybody's gonna be mad at me because I said that I'd sell her for $1 million. Okay.
I have very few things that if somebody says, "Here's $1 million, I want that," and you're like, "Okay,
okay."
I have no like. I'd be that jerk that'd be like, if somebody says, "I'll give you $1 million for your dog," I'm like, "Love you, Yuki," but
that's just wrong. Come on now.
She's getting old up. She's getting old. She's getting up there.
Oh,
they'll probably be able to give her like all the treatment she needs if they can give me $1 million. I mean, and unless they said they'll give you $1 million, but I'm gonna mistreat the dog. No, probably not. But they'll probably be able to give her better treatment. She's got stinky breath. She's probably got some dental issues they can probably help her with. I'm just joking. But hey,
sell Yuki.
You gotta admit that if
don't sell Yuki,
there's a side of you back in the back of your head going, if somebody offered you $1 million for your dog,
no,
you'd probably take it.
No,
you're saying no on here because you don't want to look bad. But I'm telling you, there's so many people that are listening to this and they're judging me. If somebody actually did, you would probably do it. You just say no now because you know nobody's ever going to do it and you want to look good. But we all know if somebody offered you $1 million for your dog, you're going to do it.
No.
I actually I see a clip here recently of like this old video of Trump, and it was like this comedy skit where he like walks out of it and he was trying to get his car and they weren't taking too long to get his car. And so he just tells this random lady that was getting her kids in the car, "Here, I'm going to buy your car." He like writes this check and hands it to her. And she's like, "Oh, well, thank you. Hey, let me get the kids out." And he's like, "No, I'll buy your kids too." And he writes another check and she's like, "I love you, sweeties." Again, that's the whole idea. If somebody write that check, you probably going to take it. You just say no now because you know nobody's going to ask you and you want to look good. Let's all be honest here. Anyways, side tangent. We hope you guys enjoyed us talking about I think this is a rare positive podcast, Chris. I hope we alleviated people's fears of the anime bubble. And I hope tomorrow we find out that it actually crashes. That way we're stupidly wrong. That's what's going to happen. You know that, right? Because we're super positive. What's going to happen is tomorrow somebody's going to link me an article saying that, yeah, like 3 studios are now shutting down. Yeah, Ufotable shutting down, Bones, Mappa,
and Sunrise,
and yes, KyoAni. KyoAni has finally they're sunsetting. They're done. They're going strictly to publishing.
I think that I'd probably raise my eyebrow if Sunrise was to randomly announce that they're shutting doors.
Sunrise has sold everything to Lego. Now, who owns Lego? Is that Disney?
Lego, I think. No, I want to say Logo is their own. It might
Logo.
be Hasbro. I was gonna say Lego is their own thing.
Lego. I don't know. This is like I'm now massively curious who owns Lego. It's just a Lego group.
That's what I was saying. I think
who owns the Lego group? It's a private company. Wow. They haven't sold? Well, I know they were originally a company, but I figured somebody bought them up. Wow. Because I thought that Lego was like prominent in Disney, so I assumed that Disney owned them. Because isn't there a Lego section in Disney? Isn't there like a Legoland in Disney?
I don't think so. I think that they've got they have the property to the Lego game.
Where's the like? Was that WB? Because they do a lot of Lego Batman and stuff like that. So that would be like WB.
Yeah, I think that's WB. That's why I don't think that Lego was in Disney.
There's a Legoland, right? I'm not crazy that there's a Legoland. Yeah, Legoland around here. They're their own places. Okay, I thought that was in Disney. Wow. That shows either how much I'm stupid or I just don't care. It's probably the later. Check out this is your stereotype. I'm way too an anime that I have no clue about anything else. You asked me about my childhood. I barely remember anything because it's been replaced by gushing over Magical Girl and other degenerate shows. I'm that disgusting. Anyways, we hope you guys enjoy this positive outlook on the anime's future and how good things are going, and hopefully the anime industry doesn't crash tomorrow and makes us look stupid, and then Andrew's going to be forced to have to either get a normal job or try to turn his channel into let's watch old anime. Today we're going to watch Serial Experiments Lane again or something. I don't know. Just got to dig up the olds. Just got to dig up the old classics.
No, I think we'd just go into gaming.
I would probably go into gaming just because. Now, I would try it. I would first try to go into light novels and manga. And if that didn't work, I would go into gaming. Because I think light novel or manga would probably work out faster than classic. Because there is a chance that if the anime industry is dying, that people would want to be interested in older anime. But I don't think so, because I think the moment that the new is gone, and there isn't sort of this way that right now the common anime fan right now is sort of being directed by the seasons. As the season comes out, people are going with this flow. This is the newest thing. This is the one that everybody is talking about. I'm going to watch that. They're being guided by the seasons. And without that seasonal release, people are less interested. Because when I review an older show, like when Right Stuff was still around and they were sending me stuff, I would watch these old shows like I'm a Buddhist or something like that. Nobody cared. Nobody cared about my thoughts on that old show. Nobody's going to go watch it. So if I started, unless I made my content geared around watch it with me, and it was sort of a community coming together to watch something, I would probably stream it on Twitch, kind of like what Psychulturist is doing right now. Probably go on Twitch and say, hey, this is our night to watch shows together, and we'll all watch some old show together, and then we're all part of a group. That would make it easier for people to actually consume it with me and thus enjoy it together. But I don't think it works. I don't think just the show making a YouTube video works for older shows.
No. And that's the thing is I don't know that there's without that seasonal thing. I don't know that either watching the old stuff or going into the manga or the light novels would quite work.
Yeah, I think light novels and mangas also have the same issue as most of the people that I see that are doing well with the light novels and mangas, they're either deep rooted into the shonen area. They're reading the Jujutsu Kaisens, they're reading the One Piece or whatever, or they're finding the most disturbing titled ones. Like here is like I said earlier, I bought up a bunch of MILFs of the Heroes Party or whatever show, or this girl that's a Latina, her name is Latina, and she's after something of mine or something like that. Yeah, those types of really weird. Yeah, or I'm Inukai-san's dog. It's the oddities. Those are the ones that grab the attention of people to check out.
I mean, it's not impossible because I mean, obviously ReZero, Shoko, your mainline ones that people are actually gravitating to.
Yeah, like
those are the ones that will
long-lasting fandoms.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, but you would have to do so much daggum research to find out which ones are grabbing the traction and then start.
Yeah, and I think with that whole case, it's really kind of filling out your community because, like, even I even have that question right now with Michiko Mondays. Like, I get it on a regular basis. There's even one in our submit question area asking once again that I've answered about 1,000,000 times at this point, but I haven't really decided yet. What are you doing after Michiko? Because obviously, yes, I'm finishing up 21. Eventually, I'm going to run out of the main line. I'm going to run out of the side chapters. I'm going to run out of Roxy Gets Serious. I might do a lull, let's read the manga because it's a travesty. But eventually I'm going to run out of Michiko Tensei stuff. And what happens then? The community kind of is veering towards ReZero because it's a very much a commonality there. A lot of people really like Ascend's Bookworm. We're probably going to... Eventually, both of them are going to be done. And then we're from there. It's almost like you have to kind of... You do want to retain your current viewership for it, while you kind of branch out into the next thing. Because yes, once ReZero and Ascend's Bookworm which has a common fandom, what next? Like, are people going to want to get into Spice and Wolf? Are they going to want to get into Grimgar? Are they going to want to get into all this other stuff?
Grimgar, I think, will be a good one for you after that.
I don't see people talking about Grimgar.
It is. You're going to love it.
No, what I mean is like, is the Michiko crew, are they into Grimgar? Like, I could probably put a poll in our Michiko Monday channel, and
I could see
not
it.
many of them probably read it.
I could see it going hand in hand with it.
That could be a case where I'm going that route, people are going to go read it.
Yeah,
because they're going to want to be a part of that discussion.
And that's the difference between following the trends and setting the trends, and hopefully that at that point you'll be able to set the trend, and it'll shift in a different direction, because then you are actually the people are coming to you to see where the trend is going, rather than you going and trying to hunt down the trend and then trying to keep the trend going. So I mean, and that's the thing that I was talking about, is there at first trying to, if you were to go into the manga or the light novel route, you would have to actually do a lot of digging to find which ones it is that you need to be discussed, because you got to find the ones that are having the traction. Whereas with the seasons, at least you got an easy mode. It's all pretty much there. You just talk about the ones that are actually interesting to talk about.
Yeah, I think there is a mixture of the trend setting versus chasing trends. And I think the difficult with chasing trends is that how do you get people to come look for you? Because the reason I say that is because, like, okay, so I'm chasing trend. ReZero is obviously still massively popular, still going. So I'm going to chase the trend of ReZero. So I start covering ReZero. I start from Volume 1, Chapter 1. I'm going to make content on ReZero. Who's looking for it? The trend's already there. How do you get them to come back to me? Because I'm just starting into it. Michiko Tensei worked because everybody was already into it. We had a group of people that were the anime was already coming out. People were already into it. So the moment I started doing Michiko Monday, people were gravitated to it because they're like, oh, Andrew's going to fresh start the story. And they start pulling their people. Michiko Monday wouldn't be what it is without people coming to it and supporting me with it. Michiko Monday would have been dead without even starting if it weren't for the people supporting it.
All right.
I couldn't have done it without it, because it's very difficult to get people to come back to you unless they want to see it, and they pull their people into it to go see it. Like this recent chapter, I had an extremely emotional moment in it, and it's like I think it was the biggest Michiko Monday we've had ever. Like 630 people were watching it concurrent at the time. Like, it was fluctuating obviously, but it kept around 630. Huh?
Memories.
Uh-huh.
That was probably one of my top moments.
Yeah, so it drew in. Plus, it would probably help the fact that I put the title, I nearly quit. The chapter I nearly quit, and my thumbnail and the little picture, the subtitle says there, absolutely destroyed me or something like that. People knew what it was. They probably seen the absolutely destroy me, and then they seen the chapter and like, know what that one is. But yeah, it's just the people support it, and that's what made it be what it is. And I kind of find that daunting to try to find the next one, but I guess it's just really in sticking with it and building it up. I mean, I stuck with the Mystical Monday for 2 years now, or 3 years. Eventually I'll finish it, and then I'm going to have the difficult decision: ReZero or Sentence Bookworm. One of those two. I still haven't decided. I might just make it up to a poll. Like I tell everybody, it's like I want to. I love the idea of doing a Sentence of Bookworm more. I want to do both of them. I like both of the franchises, but a Sentence of Bookworm for enjoyment and want is a little bit higher. But I know for popularity's sake, for the content, for the channel, ReZero would be much more healthier for the channel.
Yeah.
So it's that struggle that I'm having. So I don't know. We'll see. Plus, I hinted at it, and Adrian went out and read the whole thing. One of the Adrian the mod, I suggested that a sentence might be next, and he went off and read the whole damn thing. So now I kind of feel bad about not doing a Sentence Bookworm. Hopefully they've read ReZero, so if we do ReZero, they can mod for that one too. But anyways,
ReZero is a lot crazier as far as spoilers. So
oh yeah, yeah, I would imagine so. Anyways, either way, it'll be fun. But that's another side tangent. We're gonna close off. We're stopping, Chris.
Are we? Are you sure?
Yeah.
What if I randomly get you on a different side tangent?
Might happen. You're the one that needs to leave. But anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this discussion about the future of anime and the bubble. Don't go anywhere yet, because I think I want to record an intro, because this is not a discussional podcast. It is a discussional, but I'd rather just make the whole video that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this random discussion. If you did, before you leave, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're on a podcast of source, whatever rating system they have there, you're thumbing it up. We appreciate your guys' support. As always, if you like other ways to support us, we have on otakuspirit.com. We have our Patreon links. There's ways to support us. We greatly appreciate it. The sports channel means a lot to us. And until next time, y'all take care.
Os. No, I was just having fun. I mean, it's been a while since we just had a gab session of
just talk. How do I want to open it up?
We started out with a daggum discussional, and it turned into a topic. It's as simple as that. And now, after Andrew is done, he's going to start the podcast. Now that I've taken over the whole thing.
See, I've never done an intro like that before. Well, no, I've done post-recorded intros, but I don't typically have you in the room. That I'm trying to get you bouncing into it, and that's the weird part about it.
And now I did, and I just messed the whole thing up.
Everything's messed up now.
We're gonna have bloopers.
You can do that too. Yeah, I can do that too. That was a really good intro, Chris.
Yo.
But did we even close the other part of it?
Yeah, I think we did, because I did my thumb up.
This is the worst recording, but yet best recording ever. Worst, but best recording ever. How was the last couple weeks, Chris? I was going to say the last month or so, because it's been last time we had a discussional, but nobody cares about that long ago. Recent history. How's it going? Caught up on anime?
No.
Enjoying Maho Aku?
Yes.
That's really... I just love that he looks up like, "You showed me the errors of my way. Thank you." What's her name? Habina? I want to say Habina for some reason. Hibami, yeah. And she just nods her head and says, "F word." It's just I love this girl. I'm sorry. I thought she was going to be super annoying, but I love her. She's great. It's because it's the whole, she doesn't know how to handle emotions.
She does.
It's cute instead of being obnoxious.
The tsundere thing done in a weird way that's actually
sort of
working.
Tsundere, yeah. For those that don't know what we're talking about, it's the evil lieutenant and the magical girl. Evil lieutenant used to be arch enemies, and it's just this magical girl character that just cannot handle emotions, and she just says explicit stuff all the time. It's great, and she's cute. and she got mad. That whole scene in the apartment was like one of those moments of going, this is such a great twist on Matt. I mean, the cat mascot was funny already because I hate his guts. He is so nasty to her. Like, he is the worst ever. But at the same time, it's hilarious because you have him like standing on next to the doorway. You have the other magical girls mascots in there yelling about how his mascot or his magical girl is living in a small apartment where his magical girl is in a mansion, and they're discussing why his magical girl is cuter or whatever. It's just like, what is this conversation? they're the bad guys right there sitting down playing. I don't know what they were playing with their little cardboard cutouts. It's great.
It was the Reversey.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's great. I love it. More people should watch it, but anyways, that's a side point. It's just one of those things where it's one of those shows where it's like, it's so good and nobody's watching it. Monogatari series, it's so good, nobody's watching it. Even Makane feels like nobody's watching that. It seems like that one's getting a lot more attention than most of the other ones, but that happens every season. Every season there's a show that's like, this should be more popular. That's what we do. That's why we watch too many shows. We got to find those for people.
Yeah, right.
It's just more surprising because that one's Bones. And I thought that Bones had like a group of people that like Bones can do no bad. Everything that Bones puts out is genius. And that one's just crickets. Probably because it's a magical girl.
Maybe.
I found out that the mangaka, I think it's that one. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. The mangaka for that one passed away.
Oh, really?
So it's another anime adaptation. It seems like every season we got an anime adaptation where the mangaka has passed away. But it should be a full adaptation.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very short and it was completed. So I'll take that. I'll to their honor, I will say, RIP. I wish you could have made more stuff. I wish you could have made more stuff because this is gold. Yeah. Anyhow, what's going on with you, Chris? I stated what's going on with me.
I'm just trying to keep caught up on the shows. I did finally get to working on Spice and Wolf. I got to the saving from the church scene, so I'm doing all right.
Oh yeah, you're way back there then. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like episode 8 or so.
Well, it was my gamble on trying to catch up on last season's stuff. So,
well, mine like yours, that is the Yatagarasu. I finally got caught up on that one. That one's been insanely good. But yeah, Spice and Wolf, I haven't got into the new arc, which is like 2 episodes, so I'm not too far behind.
But yeah, I'm excited about that, loving it and everything like that. I did dabble into Isekai Suicide Squad. I still wasn't feeling that.
Try it again, even though it's already over. It's over at this point.
There was another one that seemed like it. Oh, the Pseudo Harem ended this week. That was completely left field. No, they were showing like after story and stuff like that. So something got real crazy if that's not the end of the story.
Yeah, there's a time jump for sure.
So that'll be interesting. Yeah, just trying to keep up on everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, Yatagarasu is like one of those ones where that's similar, where it's like it's super good. It's like you look at the mouse scores for Yatagarasu, and it's like this is proof right here that so many anime fans have zero patience. I mean, that's media in general. People have no patience for anything anymore. Podcasts seem like they're dying anymore because people have no patience to sit through something. But no, it's like really low ranking, and it's like it's a masterpiece. Like this show and the story and the world and stuff is so freaking good, and just nobody has a patience for it. I mean, I really like the intrigue of the show. And then here recently, just before the first court ended, was like suddenly out of nowhere, it got super crazy. And then the next arc starts, and it's like, what the hell is going on? What is this story now? It's super good. I think the whole thing around the whole basically the prince is supposed to be wed off to a woman, so they bring a princess from each area. The lady of one of the major houses, each one of them from each side of this area to the center, and put them inside of this little palace, and the prince is supposed to come see them, but he's never come to see them until like the very end. It's like suddenly out of nowhere everything gets revealed, and it's like, okay, that was crazy. And then, like I said, then it goes in some other crazy story. So what's surprising about that one is that Yatagarasu is an adaptation of the second volume of a series of volumes. Like that is like a full-on saga of like 9 volumes, I think, so far. And they're adapting the second volume. So it's like, what was in the first volume? Because it doesn't feel like I'm lost jumping into this second volume. And then at the same time, it's like, well, what are these other stories? Are these going to be like pre the prince, like the previous prince, or is after that like going to something else? It's like, now I kind of hope that we get more adaptations, because unless that's like the second volume was the best one, so don't adapt the rest of it. They were like, yeah, we want to adapt one of these. Yeah, that one's like the best one, so adapt that one. Don't worry about the rest of it. The rest of it doesn't do as well or something like that. I don't know. But I would love to see more of it. Or I don't even think it's being licensed over here. Maybe it's a series I'd love to read because, like I said, it's super fascinating. Just a world full of people that turn into birds, and then you have like, okay, there's this, all the carriages are lifted by birds. Oh yeah, by the way, the birds are them too. Like they're all the same. Like they call them horses, and there's a hill birds or whatever, hill crows. Those are the ones that are like people that are outside the palace in the hills. And then you have like, again, you have horses, which are where they let them transform into birds, and then they cut off their third leg so they can't transform back. So they're basically they're cattle the rest of their life. It's like a punishment. So you have all these carriages being carried around by people that have basically lost their ability to switch back to a human form. It's like, what? So weird and twisted. Anyways, that's gushing about Yatagarasu. It needs more. I love it. It's really, really good. So that's about the only one that I'm really like pinging on right now. Of course, yeah, Aya sometimes has her feelings. Makane has been incredible, so good.